Hi guys, Al Smith here. Welcome to the Beginner's Bridge course. Uh, I'll be giving this on Tuesday afternoon at 12:30 and Thursday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you miss one, you can attend the other, no problem. You'll have links to both of them. I will be recording this and posting it on YouTube and also making it available from our club website. So welcome to the first lesson on the beginning bridge. And let's go ahead and get started. Now, uh, just some basic administrative information. Hopefully you can hear me. I've got my microphone right here in front of me. Sometimes I get distracted and turn my head and it doesn't come through too clearly, but we'll see if I can keep my head on straight. Okay, you really don't. You need to hear me and see me, but you really don't. I really don't need to hear or see you. So don't worry about that. Okay, keep your microphone on mute until we get to the question and answer period at the end of the lecture portion of the lesson, and then I'll explain the procedure for asking questions. And to ask a question, now down at the bottom, if you've got a Windows-based computer that you're using, down at the bottom you'll see a toolbar, and on that toolbar you'll see things like chat and so forth. So if and under I'm looking for where it is right now. I can't see it right now, but there are ways to raise your hand. So to ask a question, raise your hand, and I'll ask you to unmute your microphone. If you have questions, you'd like to give me a call, there's my telephone number, and or you can send me an email. And I think I answer 99.9% of the emails that people send me. So don't feel inhibited at all about that. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about Zoom, just in case you've got some people out there that haven't used Zoom before. But if please check your microphone. This is number one here, is where your microphone should be, and there should be a red slash through it that would indicate that your microphone is muted. I'm going to go check to see. We've got an iPhone here that's not muted. Okay, it's all muted now. Close that up. Okay, so that's the microphone icon, and when it's muted, there's a red slash through it. Now, this is the next one is the video camera, and that's the icon right here. And you can either have your video camera on or off. Like I said, I really don't need to see you, so you can actually click on that and put a red slash through that, and that way you're not broadcasting your picture if you don't want to be. Okay, number three here is where the chat box is. Okay, and I use this in particular places to send out information and solicit information. And you can use this also to chat back and forth with other people in the lesson if you want, but it's not really something that we use too much. Okay, now number four here is under reactions, is where you can raise your hand in order to ask a question later on. And five, this is where the participants are listed, and for whatever reason, the computer identifies you by the name of that's associated with your computers. And it doesn't matter to me whether your name is actually Mary and it wants to say you're George. That's okay with me. But if you want to change it, this is how you change it. You can actually click on that, click on your own, click on the item that indicates it's you, and then you can actually go through the process of renaming yourself to whatever you would like to call yourself. Okay, but that's not really important. All right, now, and this again is where the chat area is, and the messages come up. Okay, now let's move on to YouTube. That's another one of these. I imagine everybody's used YouTube. If you're a guy out there and you need a how-to video, you just type in YouTube and how to fix your refrigerator or microwave or whatever it is, and there's probably a video out there. I use it all the time. So now search terms to find me. If you have trouble finding me, I sent you the link that's in the email. You can put in YouTube Beginner Bridge Alan Smith, and it'll find me out there. It's magic. All right. So this is the YouTube channel address, and you can always type that in if you're really challenged, or click on the link that's in the email that I send out every Sunday. Now, subscribing is something that you can do in order to get notified when something new is posted on a particular channel. You can do this just by dragging your cursor over the watermark, and that's this watermark is over here. It's kind of an SC over the states of North Carolina, South Carolina, and click on that, or click on a red subscribe button if you happen to see it. All right, now playlists are the way that the YouTube channels are organized, and here's a kind of a picture. And what it lists are the playlists that tells how many videos are in the particular playlist. You click on the playlist itself to then be able to pick the video that you want to watch. Okay, so that's my lesson on how to navigate on YouTube. All right, enough about YouTube and all these other fancy technical things that we use to put this course on. Okay, but let's talk about bridge. Okay, and how did I go backwards? Let's go back to, I must have moved my mouse. All right, so bridge is like eating an elephant. All right, an elephant's pretty big. All right, bridge is a game that you can actually never master. Okay, it's a lifelong game in terms of learning to play, and you can enjoy the game if you can count to 13, or you can go really nutso like me and really get deep into the game. All right, now the beginner course is kind of like trying to eat this left front leg of the elephant, or maybe the left front foot would be more appropriate, because there's all sorts of stuff to learn on bridge. So just recognize that there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot to learn, but you don't need to know all that fancy crap. Actually, if you once you learn, get through the beginner bridge, you'll be able to handle probably 90% of all the hands just as well as anybody else in terms of bidding. Okay, each convention that you add probably only gives you the capability of addressing another 0.5% of hands in a smarter fashion. So it's a big, long journey to master the game. Like I said, I don't think anybody can really master it because it's still evolving. Okay, my goal with this lesson is just to introduce you to the game of bridge. And what we're going to cover is non-competitive bidding, and we're going to get fairly deep into that. Okay, not going to sugarcoat it for you. And that'll give you a good taste for the game and whether you like the challenge or not. Okay, and if at any time during the course you decide it's not your cup of tea, that's fine. No recriminations. You can just not log back on for the next lesson. And if you want to stop getting emails, down at the bottom of the weekly email that I send out is an unsubscribe button. Click on that, and you'll be dropped off the mailing list, and I'll stop harassing you. All right. So bridge is a multi-dimensional game. Okay, there's really 3 major dimensions. The first one is bidding. Okay, and bidding is the process where you talk back and forth with your partner and say, yeah, I think we should be in hearts. And he goes, no, I think we should be in spades. And you go back and forth and you end up in some contract. Okay, so now you've done the easy part. The bidding is actually the easy part. Now, once you've won a contract, you have to be able to make that contract. So we have this element called declare play. And the declarer is the person that bid the suit the first time and is going to be the one that's playing the hand. And his partner is going to be the dummy. The dummy gets faced. And we'll
Greg,
see
that. Does this laptop have a speaker?
I have no idea what I have no idea what your computer has. Okay, so we will continue. Okay, obviously I heard you, so you've got a microphone. So let's continue. Okay, the declare play is the process of trying to make the contract, and one person controls the play of both the declare's hand and the dummy's hand. Okay, other dimension is defense. Now, if you think about it, you're going to be bidding is going to occur on 100% of the
Here, I got it. Just wasn't turned up. I got it.
Okay, if you would turn your microphone on mute, that would be great. Okay, so you're going to have bidding on 100% of the hands. Now, the rest, once the contract has been established, you're going to be the declarer 25% of the time and the dummy 25% of the time. And you're going to be on defense 50% of the time. Now, if you're like me, when I started out playing bridge, I spent 95% of all my time studying bidding. Okay, and you go kind of, well, duh. Where the rubber meets the road is whether you can make the contract once you've won the contract, and whether you can defeat the people who took the contract. So, just a word to the wisdom: don't spend all your time on bidding once you get into the game. Spread your time evenly between bidding and declare play and defense, because these are really, really important now elements of the game. If you talk to a bridge pro, and there are bridge pros out there that actually get paid quite a bit of money to play the game, okay, they'll tell you that from their perspective, because they've mastered bidding, is that 90% of the game is on declare play and defense. And probably it's 30% on declare play and 60%, 70% on defense, because on defense, you don't get to actually see what your partner has. You have to communicate that in by the card you lead, when you lead, and so forth. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. I kind of like this graphic I've got up there, but this is lesson number one. We're going to introduce some basic concepts in terms of bridge. Now, we're actually going to get into some fairly sophisticated things, but we've got to make sure that we start at a place where everybody, even if they haven't played cards before, will have a good opportunity to start at the beginning and learn what's going on. Okay, this is the table. Okay, and we're going to make you south. Okay, and we call the four people that are sitting at a bridge table by the directions: south, west, north, and east. Okay, and if south is north and south are going to be partners, east and west are going to be partners. Okay, your goal as north and south is to make life as miserable as possible for east and west, and vice versa. Okay, so the deal, when you deal the card, there are 52 cards in the deck. You're going to deal you're going to deal clockwise. Okay, you're going to deal first to the person on your left, and then across from you, so forth. It progresses around in a clockwise fashion until all the cards have been dealt. Each player gets 13 cards. Now, one of the first rules of bridge, and there are lots of rules in bridge, is to count your cards before you look at them. And you go, why? Well, because that way there won't be any misdeals. If one's got 14, the other one's got 12, they can just draw a card out of the hand without having any unauthorized information communicated to the other player. So it just makes things a little bit simpler. Now, if you ever get into duplicate bridge and you don't count your cards and you look at them and you've got 14, you'll get a penalty. So this is just good practice, establishing a habit that you're going to want to, to put in place. Establishing good habits from day one is really a big advantage. I'm going to try to tell you what those habits should be, because I learned them the hard way, and many times not until a year or two after I started playing bridge. Okay, now we use some basic acronyms. LHO is left-handed opponent. You see this guy up here? If you hold up your left hand, you'll see that west is to the left of south, you. Okay, and we call him the LHO, the left-hand opponent, and the guy to your right, the right-hand opponent. Okay. Now, after you play a hand, you dealt, that's you south. Okay, the next person to deal is going to be west. The deal progresses clockwise also. So this is the first dealer, the second dealer, the third dealer, and so forth. And you just keep going around in circles until you get dizzy and fall down. All right, now some basic terms. We've already defined who the right-hand opponent is. That's the guy to your right. And the left-hand opponent, the guy to your left, or the gal. Okay, now the opener is the person that opens the bidding. Now, bidding is, this is the person that says opens one of a suit or more of a suit. Okay, a pass is not a bid. They call that a call. Well, we've got some fancy names in bridge, and it's just there, so it confuses all of us. So, opener is a person that opens the bidding. Okay, we've got to give everybody a name so that when we talk about bridge, it actually makes sense. Now, the partner of the opener is called the responder. So we got two of the four people that are named. Okay, the overcaller is the first person in the other partnership that makes a bid other than pass. Okay, and the name of the person that is the partner to the overcaller is called the advancer. Okay, so you'll kind of get the hang of this after a while, but we have the opener, the responder, the overcaller, and the advancer. That's so I can say, well, Sheila Oak was the opener, and then Charlie bid two spades, and he's the overcaller. And then Sally Sue bid three clubs, and that was in response to the opener and the partner of the opener, and she is the overcaller. And then Charlie went crazy and bid four no trump, and he's the partner of responder, so he's called the advancer. So now that we've got all that straight as to who's on first and what's on second and so forth, let's move on. Okay, book. Well, book is something you read, right? Not in bridge. What book is 6 tricks. Okay, and I'll explain in a little while what book is. Just remember that's a term in bridge. Okay, and a trick. What's a trick? Well, okay, I've got a graphic and a slide or two that shows what a trick is, and that's one. There are 13 tricks in each hand. Okay, so let's look at the basics, the real basics to begin with. The deck. Okay, there are 4 suits. Okay, and we've got 2 minors, it's clubs and diamonds. Then we've got 2 majors, hearts and spades, and then we've got what's called no trump. Okay, and these are also called the string. All right, now, one of the most important aspects of bridge is your goal is to get as many points as possible on each hand, or to give your opponents the fewest number of tricks as possible on each hand. Okay, now, to make this a little bit more challenging, okay, the minors, clubs and diamonds, are worth only 20 points for each trick point. Okay, and we'll just call it for each trick. Hearts and spades are worth 30. Okay, so hearts and spades, the majors, are worth 50% more than the minors. So if I gave you a choice, let's say we're playing for $10,000 a point, which would you rather bid, 1 spade or 1 club? Well, if you make 1 spade, you'd get 30 points. And if you made 1 club, you'd get 20. And if that's times $10,000 a point, that would be $100,000. So obviously, you'd much rather be in a major than a minor. Okay, so you can see that the points that are assigned to the minors versus the majors is a major underpinning of the game, and that what drives the entire bidding system, because the bidding system is going to give preference to the major over the minors. Now, with respect to no trump, we get a little bit of a wild card here in that the first no trump is worth 40 and then 30 after that. So in essence, no trump becomes a little bit better than a major, and we'll see this. Now, in the suit, we have ace, king, queen, jack, all the way down to the 2. And the ace is the highest card in the suit. Okay, so come back here, we got 4 suits. 13 cards per suit. So we got 4 times 13, we got 52 cards. All right, now let's look at the bidding tree. All right, so we've got the 4 suits, and this is their rank order. So clubs is the lowest ranked suit. Then diamonds is higher in rank than clubs, then hearts, then spades, and then no trump. Okay, now so that's called the strain. Okay, now the level is a number of 1 through 7. So 1 diamond is a bigger bid than 1 club, and 1 heart is a bigger bid than 1 diamond. So if we looked at this and went, okay, the bidding tree in terms of the overall ranking of the bids is 1 club, 1 diamond, 1 heart, 1 spade, 1 no trump, then 2 clubs, and so forth. So you can see how the bids progress in terms of their importance, or in what we would say is on the bidding, it's higher on the bidding tree ladder. Okay, now a contract. Okay, so if you bid 1 club, that's a contract. So how many tricks do you need to take if you bid 1 club? Well, the number of tricks is determined by taking book. Remember that wonderful book, that wonderful term, which is defined as 6 tricks plus the level. So if you bid 1 club, you have to have book, that's 6, plus 1, that's 7. As another example, if you bid 3 hearts, you take 6 books plus the level, that's 3, that's equal to 9. So that's the way that you determine the number of tricks that are required to make a particular contract. Okay, now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a quick overview here, not get into any details, because if I try to do that, it would get very, very confusing very quickly. Okay, there are, when you're playing in bridge, one of the goals is to be able to reach game. Okay, remember we got points up here that are different, 20 for minor, 30 for a major. Okay, but we want to get to game because in bridge we get big bonus points if we can bid game and make game. Now, if we don't bid game and we make game, we don't get the bonus points. So we have to bid game in order to get the bonus points. Now, in order, game is defined as any contract that yields 100 trick points or more. Okay, so in no trump, if we come back up here, we say, well, you've got 40 for the first no trump, and then 30 for each no trump thereafter to get to 100. We only have to bid and make 3 no trump to get to 100. So that's game. Now in a major, we have to bid 4 hearts or 4 spades because 4 times 30 is 120. And in a minor, we have to go all the way to the 5 level to get to 100. So in order to make 3 no trump, we only have to take 9 tricks. In 4 hearts and 4 spades, it's 10. In 5 clubs or 5 diamonds, we have to take 11 tricks. So obviously, it's easier in most situations to take 9 tricks versus 11. I said most situations because there are cases where that's not true. So that's why we have these different suits, but we have these different levels to reach the bonus. Now the game bonus, if you're not vulnerable versus vulnerable. Now what's not vulnerable and vulnerable, they're just nonsense terms that in essence indicate you get a bigger bonus if you're vulnerable versus not vulnerable. Okay, and I'm trying to think of an analogy, but I can't think of one right now. But if you're vulnerable and you bid and make game, you get 500 extra points. If you're not vulnerable, you get 300 extra points. So you can see that if you're vulnerable and you can bid 3 no trump and make it, you're going to get 600 extra. You're going to get 600 points. 100 for making 3 no trump, and 500 for getting the game bonus. That's 600 points. Okay, now in duplicate bridge, we have something called a partial game bonus. We get 50 points for that. Okay, but in rubber bridge, which is it's rubber bridge, duplicate bridge, Chicago bridge, they're all bridge. The only difference between them is some minute differences in how they are scored. Okay, in essence, 95% of everything is the same. But when you're bidding a hand and playing a hand and defending a hand, bridge is bridge no matter what the scoring method is. All right, so what's the first thing that we've got to do in terms of bridge? Well, we've got to figure out a way of quantifying the strength of our hand. Okay, and also, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I kind of got ahead of myself. Okay. For those that have never played cards before, and believe it or not, there are a number of people that have never played cards before. Okay, we need to define what a trick was. And I just added this, I think, the last time I gave this course, because I always assumed everybody would know what a trick was. But I had this young lady and she said, "What's a trick?" So we have this in here now. So, okay, what a trick is, assume that South makes an opening lead of a spade. Okay, the next player, West, if he has any spades, must follow suit. Okay, and the third player, North, if he has any spades, must follow suit. And the last player, East, must follow suit if they've got a spade. Okay, now, the person that plays the highest spade wins the trick. Okay, so that's the mechanism for determining who wins the high card trick. Now, I'm emphasizing high card tricks because we can get into the situation in bridge where we have a trump suit. No trump, there is no trump. If we're in a suit contract, clubs, diamonds, hearts, and spades, the named suit is going to be trump. And that gives those trumps special values, special powers. We'll talk about that later on. Okay, but this is how you determine who wins a trick. Okay, now there are 13 tricks in each hand, so we have to keep track of how to do that. All right, now, you've probably all heard the term card sets. Okay, and kind of, and we kind of, some people seem to get that naturally. But what I'm going to tell you is that it's actually a learned skill. Some of us learn it more easily, and it just seems to come to some of us more. Those are the people that are a little bit more mathematically inclined. Okay, and in some cases, those are the people that are a little bit more observant. Okay, a lot of card sense is observing the obvious. Okay, if the dummy gets laid down on the table and you don't look at it, you're ignoring a wealth of information. So always look at the dummy. Okay, understanding card relationships. Okay, if you have a king, queen in one suit, let's say in spades, versus the king of spades and the queen of hearts in two different suits, the king, queen in one suit is a lot more powerful than the king, queen in different suits. You don't have to understand all this. I'm just trying to point it out. Okay, here's one. The king, jack, 9 may be better than ace, 5, 4. Okay, because that king might be behind a player that has the queen 10. So there's just relationships of how cards fit together, which one's higher, which one's lower, and so forth. Okay, and being observant and seeing how those work together is one of the basic elements of card sense. Looking and seeing. Okay, make sure you look at the dummy. When you look at it, make sure you actually see it. And you look at those cards in relationship to the cards that you have in your hand. All right, now, much of bridge is visual. It's a little bit visual and audio, but you want to make sure you arrange your cards. All right, I've known people that are astute enough or crazy enough, however you want to describe it, they don't arrange their cards at all. I don't see how they keep track of it. But this is what I do. I arrange my cards from left to right with spades, hearts, clubs, and diamonds. That way I've got the black suits being separated by the red suits. Okay, and I have a relationship there to say, okay, I got my most important suit, spades on my left, hearts next, and clubs, and then they're the least important, but I've got them there to separate from the diamonds so I can see I've got four suits and what's in the four suits. Now, then I always arrange it from left to right, from the biggest to the smallest. Okay, that's just the way I am. It's just the way my brain works. It makes it easier for me. And for the most part, most people aren't observant enough to see where I take the cards from my hand, and I really don't care if they do anything. Okay, now you're also going to want to pay attention to who's the dealer. Okay, why? You're going to also want to pay attention to what seat you're in. So if the dealer is the person on your right, you're going to be in second seat. Okay, and what this really does is it gives the person in the first seat, the dealer, when they're going to bid, has the least amount of information. Okay, all they know is 13 cards that they can see in their hand. That's all they know because no information has been communicated. If they bid a suit, let's say they go one heart, that tells you in second seat a whole bunch of information. Probably says they've got 5 plus hearts, they've got 13 plus points, and blah, 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 blah. So if you're listening and you process that information, it allows you to gradually paint the picture of the hand as to how many cards in each suit or in each player's hand and how many points they have, and possibly even where the various honors, those are the ace, king, queen, or jack, are in the various hands. So it makes things a little bit easier in terms of determining how to play the hand. Now, again, really look at the dummy. See how the dummy's cards relate to yours. Okay, listen to your partner and the opponents. I mean, they're going to be, in essence, bidding is you're sitting there having a conversation in a different language. And if you listen and can translate that language, you're going to have a really good idea of where everything is. So if you got 2 ears, use them. The English guy I worked with, he kept yelling at me, you have 2 ears, use them. I didn't like to listen to people very much, but I learned. Okay. And whether you're vulnerable or not vulnerable, these are just things that you want to look at and take note of and remember in relationship to each hand. And you want to do it in a habitual manner so that it becomes habit. Okay, because when I started playing, I never bothered to look who was the dealer. I never really bothered to look whether we were vulnerable or not. It got me into all sorts of trouble because I would do crazy things. Okay, because I really didn't recognize the value of the information on this slide. Okay, so now counting. Okay, if the suit has been played once and everybody followed suit, 4 of them have been played. Okay, and you have 4 more in your hand. Okay, what is 4 plus 4? 8. Okay, now if there's 13 cards in a suit, how many are left outstanding? 5. Okay, that is what counting is. So if you know there are 5 outstanding, you may have other information that tells you where they are. So that's just part of the process of collecting, analyzing, and then using information. Okay, here's another little simple question. You got the ace, king, queen, 10, 9 of a suit. What is the most important missing card in that suit? Duh, the jack. So this may sound like I'm talking down to you, but I'm not. What I'm doing is I'm summarizing for you all the stupid things that I did when I was learning bridge. Okay, I'm not observing the cards, not paying attention to the information, not processing the information, and it makes a world of difference. And the kind of last thing here, and some of you might be retired spies or just very good at this, of observing body language. If you're partner to your right is fidgeting or doing this or doing that, or has shady eyes or whatever, you may be able to actually determine what they have and what they don't have when they're lying or when they're not lying, just like if you were playing poker. Okay. And yes, you are allowed to observe your opponent's body language. Okay. So it's a process of continually gathering that information over time because every bid gives you more information. Every card that's played gives you more information. All right. So enough about card sense. So that's the challenge, and some takes years to. I still recognize little subtleties in the card after I've been playing for 20 years. Say, oh wow, that's how that works. Okay. So it's something that we all incrementally improve. It's a long journey, and I've probably eaten maybe 2 or 3 legs of the elephant, but I haven't reached the body yet. All right. Bidding is a special language, just like, you're going to learn it sort of like the way that you learn a foreign language. Okay. And there are 2 important parts of every bid. The first one is a number. It says 1 to 7. The second part is the strain, a club, diamond, heart, or spade, or no trump. So if you bid 1 club, that's a bid because it has both of those required parts. Okay. Okay. Now we talked about how to determine how many tricks to make a contract. Well, we'll just hit this one more time. Okay. We're going to add 6 book to the level of the bid needed, the bid to determine the number of needed tricks. Now, determining the number of tricks is the first and most important step in forming a declare plan. I'm just not going to go any farther than that, but if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know how many tricks you got to take, you're not going to get there. So always step 1, once you want a contract, make sure you know exactly how many tricks you have to take. So let's look at an example here. We've got an example, 2 hearts. Okay, so we're going to take 6 book. I'm going to add 2 to it. Okay, 2 plus 6 equal 8. Okay, so that's how many tricks we would need to take to make 2 hearts. Now, if we take 8 tricks, are we happy? No, if we can take more as over tricks, we will. All right, so a little quiz here, just a tiny little quiz. Okay, and you can kind of, go along with me. I'll give you a moment or 2 to answer this yourself. If the contract is 2 clubs, how many tricks do we need to make 2 clubs? 8, 6 plus 2. How about 4 spades? Well, 6 plus 4 equals 10. How about 7 no trump? Whoa, that's a biggie. Well, 6 plus 7, that's 13. Hey, that's all of them. That's what we call a grand slam. Okay, when we say, we're going to take all the tricks. Stop me if you can. Okay, 3 no trump, 6 plus 3 equals 9. Okay, so you can see determining the number of tricks you need to take to make a contract is pretty easy, as long as we remember that book is 6 and we add the level to determine the number of tricks that are needed. Okay, so what is an auction? Auction is the whole process of each person making bids or passing back and forth and so forth until and bids are again 1 something, 2 something, so forth. Calls are pass, double, and redouble. We don't really need to know what these are right now because we're not going to use them for a while. Okay, but they're called calls, and the reason is that they don't meet the requirement of having a number and a strain. Okay? Now, an auction ends after there are 3 consecutive passes. For example, if I open a club, 1 club, and my left-hand opponent passes, my partner passes, and my right-hand opponent passes, that's 3 passes. Ergo, the contract, the bidding 1 is over because there have been 3 consecutive passes. And the contract is going to be 1 club. If it's 1 club, I know I need to take 7 tricks, 6 plus 1. Okay, so the contract becomes the last bid. Okay, now when you're bidding, each bid must be higher than the prior bid. Now, if you're not willing to make a bid that's higher, you pass. Okay, and that's what's, in essence says, I don't have anything to say right now. I pass. All right. Okay, and you go from the lowest in terms of suit, clubs, diamonds, hearts, spades, and no trump. Those are the ranks, lowest to the highest. And it's easiest to see from the bidding tree that we had on the previous slide. All right, now just for completeness, okay, if you play duplicate bridge, this thing here is called a bidding box. And you can see we've got a pass here, that thing with PASS on it. This thing with the red one with the X on it, that's a double. We've got a blue one here with 2 X's on it, that's a redouble. Okay, and then we've got the bids back here. There's things here with an S we don't use anymore. We threw that away. That was used for what was called skip bids. But we got rid of that. Now, alerts are for artificial bids. You really don't need to know what those are now. But if there is a bid, for example, if I open 2 diamonds and that bid, 2 diamonds, has nothing about diamonds, it's artificial, it's conventional, and it says, hey, partner, I've got 5 hearts and 4 spades, it's artificial. If it's artificial, we must alert it, which tells the opponents it's not a natural bid and it has a special meaning. Okay, and what the alert says is, hey, if you don't understand what this bid is, opponents, you may ask us what it is, and we are obligated to tell you. And it will be the partner of the person that makes the bid that explains it if asked. So in bridge, there's really, you can't have secrets. Okay, so I kind of equate bridge to like chess, except chess is very structured. If you've ever played chess and you make the opening move with your pawn, you're allowed to move it one step forward or 2 steps forward. In bridge, as an analogy, you'd be able to move that dang pawn anywhere you wanted, including under the table, because there's all sorts of different bidding systems, all sorts of different conventions. There's not one fixed way to play the game. So one of the real challenges is to be able to play in an environment where everybody may be speaking different languages. So if it's artificial, it does not conform to what we call standard American bidding, it has to be alerted. Okay, you don't need knowing more than that right now, just to know that there aren't any secrets in bridge. All right, now how many points do you need to have to make an opening bid to open? Okay, you need to have 13 starting points. What the heck is a starting point? All right, well, a starting point is equal to the high card points plus length points. You go, whoa, I heard of high card points, but I'm not sure I learned the length point. Well, about 1980, somewhere in the 80s or 90s, maybe a little bit earlier, I don't know exactly when, okay, people really started to understand that shape in a lot of cases is much, much more important than points. And they said, well, how can we start to incorporate some aspect of strength in a hand based upon the length of a suit? And somebody went, aha, we can use length points. I don't know whoever thought that up, but they were probably a freaking genius. Okay, so starting points is high card points plus length points. So let's go into this. Let's look at the first component of this, high card points. Okay, now mathematically, you do simulations and do all the math and expected values and blah 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 blah. Mathematically, an A should be used worth 4 1/4 points. Okay, using this artificial scale that was developed. A king should be worth 3, a queen should be worth 1.5, a jack should be worth 3/4, and a 10 should be worth 1/4. God, don't you just love fractions? I hate fractions. Okay, I have a hard enough time adding up whole numbers, and fractions are just just too much to try to do sitting there at the table. So what they did, they rounded it to 4 for an ace, 3 for a king, 2 for a queen, and 1 for a jack. And that poor 10, we don't give it any. Okay, now the important thing to remember is that these are estimates, okay? And their true value is relative based upon what the other people are bidding and what your partner has and the cards that adjoin them. So, just kind of keep that in mind. There's nothing totally scientifically inexact about saying an ace is worth 4. Okay, if you've got 1 card in the suit and it's ace, it's worth more than a 4. Okay, but we're still going to count it as 4 to begin with. Okay, so these are the numbers we're going to assign to an ace, a queen, king, queen, jack, and 10. Okay, now if there are 4 suits, if you add these up, it comes up to 10. There are 40 total high card points in a deck. Okay, now just kind of as a quick quiz and challenge, if you've got a hand with only 3 suits and no cards in the 4th suit, as far as you're concerned, there are only 30 high card points in the deck, because you really don't care about that other suit, because if you get the contract and you name the trump suit, you're planning on trumping them, and those high card points aren't worth anything. Okay. As you get more experience, you're going to learn that all honors are not created equal. Okay, and I gave this example before. A king, queen in 1 suit is much stronger than a king and queen in 2 different suits. Okay, why is that? Well, if you got the king and queen in 1 suit, if the king gets played, the opponents can play the ace, and now the queen is the highest card in that suit and will probably take a trick. Okay, cool. Now, if you got a king in 1 suit and a queen in another suit, you're going to have the really unfortunate situation where the person sitting behind you, that's your left-hand opponent, has the ace in the suit where you got the king, and the king in the suit where you got the queen. And each time you play one of these, he plays a higher card, and you don't get to take any tricks. So in both of these, if we use these numbers up here, we've got 5 high card points with this king, queen, and 5 here. This one is guaranteed pretty much to take a trick, and this one didn't take any tricks at all. How sad. All right, late points. Now, the late points, we're going to add 1 point for each card over 4 cards in the suit. Okay, now that's kind of a mouthful. Okay, so let's look at an example. Okay, let's say that you have a 5-card suit. Okay, if you got a 5-card suit, you get to add 1 length point. Okay, you take 5 minus 4. For each card over 4 in suit, you get 1. So you add 1. Okay, if you got a 7-card suit, you get to add 3. 7 minus 4. Okay, I couldn't find any simple words to actually describe this, but the examples make it a lot easier to understand. If you got 2 5-card suits, you get to add 2 length points, because you got to apply that formula to each suit. So you got 5 minus 4 equals 1, 5 minus 4 equals 1. You get 1 plus 1 equals 2. Okay, so now over time, you don't have to believe me, you're going to find out that shape is actually much more important than points. I'll give you 1 example. We deal out the cards. You have a hand with 13 spades. Okay, when you got 13 spades, you got the ace, king, queen, the jack, you've got 10 high card points. Okay, that's really not very many. However, you're going to take all 13 tricks because you're going to bid 7 spades. So shape there with 10 points is worth a whole bunch. Okay, now to do that in terms of high card points, you could actually have a maximum of 37 high card points in your hand. 4 aces, 4 kings, 4 queens, and 1 jack. And then you could bid 7 no trump, but you need to have 37 high card points. So 37 high card points is kind of equal to 13 spades. So you can see how shape and points, there's there's two ends of the spectrum, and learning how to interpret what's at the ends and everything in between is the challenge. All right, let's do a couple of hand valuation examples. Okay, here is your hand, hand number one. Okay, should have put one on, big one on my hand here. Okay, so this is hand number one. You've got the ace, the king, the nine, six, five of spades. Okay, now how many high card points do we have? We got seven. Four for the ace, three for the king. Okay, now let's look at the next suit. We've got the queen, 10, three of hearts. Well, we get two for that queen. In diamonds, we have no honors, so we get zero. And in clubs, we've got the king, jack. Whoopee, we get four. Now, if we add those up, we get a total of 13. And now, life points. Okay, do we have any suits that have more than five cards? Yes, sir. We've got five spades, so we get one life point for that extra spade. So we're saying our hand is actually stronger now because we have that fifth spade. So we have a total of 14 starting points. So this is the way every person starts every hand. They count their starting points and use this methodology. Let's look at hand number two. How many high card points do we have in spades? Zero. How many in hearts? Well, we got nine. We got ace, the king, the queen. So we got 4 plus 3 plus 2 equals 9. Diamonds, zero. And in clubs, we got 5. So we got a total of 14 high card points. Now, how about length points? Well, we've got 2 5-card suits. So we get 2. We got 1 for the fifth heart and 1 for the fifth club. So we get 2. So we've got a total of 16. So you can see how we're going to determine the starting points for each hand. Okay, this is something you're going to want to practice. And over time, it becomes something that gets ingrained. You pick the card, you go, da, 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 da. It says, I've got 17 length points, or I've got 3 length points, or whatever it turns out to be. But you evaluate that, so that gives you a good appreciation of the strength of your hand in terms of starting points. Now, some basic things in terms of hand shape. Now, remember, I told you that shape is probably more important than points. Well, this is just a way of defining some categories of shapes so we can communicate. We've got really 3 shape categories. We've got balanced. Okay, and this is the way that we cryptically define different shaped hands. We've got, in this case, 4, 3, 3, 3. Okay, and this doesn't say which suit we've got 4 cards in, but we got 4 cards in one suit, 3 cards in another, 3 cards in the other, 3 cards in that. So that's 4, 3, 3, 3. Okay, that is the most balance you can possibly get. Okay, the next is 4, 4, 3, 2. You can see that's not nearly as balanced as this one, but close. And then we got 5, 3, 3, 2. Okay, so these are what's considered to be balanced hands. Now, semi-balanced hands always contain 2 doubletons. So 5, 4, 2, 2. We've got 2 suits that have 2 cards in them each. Okay, and then we've got unbalanced, like me, a little bit insane. Okay, and all of these hands have a singleton or void. Insanity is sometimes defined as a void. But so it's going to have a singleton or a void. So if you pick up a hand that's got a suit, it's only got 1 card, it's unbalanced. Okay, if it has you pick up a hand and you've only got 3 suits and you don't have any card before a suit, you've got a void. Okay, so no cards in the suit is a void. 1 card in the suit is a singleton. 2 cards in the suit is a doubleton. All right, so let's look at a couple of examples here. And we're going to also make this a counting exercise. So we're going to start out and say, how many points do we have in spades? We got 4. Okay, how many do we have in hearts? We've got 4 for the ace. How many for diamonds? We've got 3. We've got the queen, jack. Okay, we count 2 for the queen, 1 for jack, add them together. Now in clubs, we've got 5. So we add those up. And well, let's ask something first. Do we have any 5-card suits? No. So we don't get any length points. Okay, so it's length points in this case is equal to high card points. So we have a total of 16. So we get 16 high card points plus 0 length points equals 16 length points. Okay, and we could call it starting points. Kind of got locked into my acronyms early on. Okay, now, what kind of hand is this in terms of the shape category? Well, it's balanced. We're 4, 3, 3, 3. Okay, let's look at another one. Count some points. 0, 4, 5, 5 more. Total those up, we got 14. We got no length points in there. That's what that 0 is all about. Okay, now, what shape is this? Well, it's balanced again, but we are 4, 4, 3, 2. So well, and I'm going to show it here as 2, 4, 4, 3. Okay, and I kind of go spades, hearts, diamonds, and clubs. So in this case, 2, 4, 4, 3. Okay, now I actually should code this differently if I'm going to also indicate the shape in accordance to the ranking of the suits. There's actually a nomenclature for that, but I didn't use it. Okay, so example number 3, and we look at hey, we have a suit with only one card in it. We already know. We don't have to go any farther. This hand is unbalanced. But let's count the points. We got 5. We got 4. We got 2. We got 4 more. So we've got a grand total of 15. And we have 1 length point because we have a 5th diamond. Okay, and this sucker is unbalanced because we've got a suit with only 1 or 0 in it. A couple more quick examples here. All right. So this one we've got 3 in spades, 7 in hearts, 5 in diamonds. See how easy it is? Kind of really getting into this, aren't you? It's getting easier and easier. 0, we got a total of 15 plus 1 length point. See how that processor of yours, your computer processor, working at 16. And let's look at this. We have 5, 4, 2, 2. And it's got 2 doubles, and so we know this is semi-balanced. Now let's look at one more here. 3 in spades, 0 in hearts, 6 in diamonds. Okay, now listen, well, clubs, it makes it harder. We're going to add 3 numbers down. 3 plus 2 plus 1. I got 6 here. Okay, got 15, and we got a length point, so we got 16. Okay, and because it is 5, 3, 3, 2, it's called balance. Let's look at one more here. Okay, got 5 in spades, 3 in hearts, 5 in diamonds. Okay, and none in clubs. So we add these up, we got 13 high card points. We get 2 length points in diamonds because we have a 5th and a 6th diamond. So we've got 13 plus 2 equals 15. Okay, now, again, we've got a visual cue here. We see a suit that's got 1 card in it. So we know this is unbalanced. Now, I've got to fix that because it says it's balanced and it's not balanced. This is unbalanced. So this is slide 20. Okay, number 6. All right. Now, this is unbalanced. Now, the visual cues help in terms, if your hand is balanced, we have a tendency to like to play in no trump contracts. If your hand is unbalanced, we like to play in suit contracts because we have what we call this roughing power. Because if we're out of the suit, we get a rough or trump tricks in the suit that we no longer have cards in, okay, which gives the trump a lot of power. So you've got on the left hand, no trump for balance, and on the right, suit contracts for unbalanced. Of course, now you've got that spectrum, and it's interpreting that spectrum as to whether you should be in a suit contract or no trump contract becomes one of the major challenges. Okay, we're getting pretty close. Okay, the total points for remaking a game for bonus points is kind of critical. It's just a little bit advanced, but I want to put it in this one to give you what the a better understanding of what the goal and the target is. Okay, because that's really critical because you want to get the most points possible on each hand. So Total points we're going to define is the number of points in the opener's hand plus the responder's hand. Remember, the guy that opens makes the first bid, and the responder is the opener's partner. So if we add those two people's points together, that would be total points. Okay, so we're going to use high card points for no trump conduct. We're going to use length points for suits with no known bid. And we're going to use distribution points for suits with a known bid. I don't know what this stuff is. Well, we'll get into this stuff a little bit later on in the next lessons. But I just want to set you up to say there's 3 different types of points we're going to use in different situations. Okay, so now let's look at the graphic here. All right. Okay, and I just want you to see here visually what it takes to make game. Okay, if you're in no trump, it takes only 9 tricks and typically total points of 25 plus. Okay, if you're in a major, it takes 10 tricks and still points of 25 or plus. But if you're in a minor, it takes 11 tricks and you generally need 28 to 29 points. Now, if you're going to bid slam, small slam, you need generally 32 plus points. At a grand slam, you generally need 36 plus points. Okay, remember, there's only 40 points in the deck. So this is this kind of a visual chart and summary to give you an idea that if you know you've got 25 plus points, you're going to want to be in game somewhere. Okay, and otherwise, you know, depending on whether you're a minor, a major, or no trump, you're going to want to be in the partial. Okay, so it kind of just gives you a visual map of saying, oh, we probably should be in a partial, we should be in a game, we should be in a slam. Okay, so just something for you to look at. All right, let's move on. Okay, and see where we're at. All right, now this may be the most important slide today, other than the one on card sense. The other stuff is all mechanics and tactics. Okay, this card sense is strategic, and that's what you're trying to strive to learn. Okay, now in terms of playing bridge, one of the most important things that you need to do is to develop good habits. And the earlier you start developing those habits, the better. You know, I probably played for 2 years before I even tried counting the number of cards being played. And going back and trying to do something after the fact, after you've been doing it for a year, 2 years, or 3 years, is really, really hard. But if you start on day 1, it gets pretty easy if you practice it. So it's, you know, it's, so how well you do is how well you're going to train yourself. So to develop a routine. Yeah, it took me a long time to figure this out. Duh. All right. Look to see what seat you are in. And step 1 in your routine. Are you vulnerable or not vulnerable? Step 2. Count your cards. How many you got? You got 13. Step 3. Okay. Arrange your cards. Okay. It really helps to arrange your cards. I used to pick up my cards, look at them, and say, oh, I don't have any honors, and I just put them back down on the table. And everybody look at me and go, well, if you don't have anything, don't do that. I communicate a lot via body language and by not following my routine. Okay. Really look at your cards. See how the cards fit together. And this kind of goes on and on. So what you're going to want to do is develop your routine. Okay, but these are the important starting points. Okay, now remember, bridge is supposed to be fun. It's a game. Okay, it's a competitive game. Now you can play fun competitive bridge. Okay, it's supposed to be a challenge. So the person you need to enjoy being both a masochist and a sadist. You know what's that mean? Well, you bid 6 no trump. You're really excited. We're going to really do great. And the opponent somehow end up setting you 9 tricks. Enjoy it. It's probably not going to happen again, but enjoy it. Okay. You're going the bear. There are going to be days you get the bear, and there'll be days where the bear gets you. So you got to enjoy getting the crap kicked out of you as a masochist, and then enjoy being able to do it to your opponents and to do it all with a smile. Okay, now, two things. Learn how to forgive yourself your mistakes because you're going to make plenty of them. Okay, I guarantee you that somewhere along the journey, you're going to be playing in a suit contract and you're going to trump your ace. You're going to lead an ace in another suit and you're going to trump it. I've done it several times. Okay, mistakes is how we learn. Okay, the easiest way of determining how quickly you're learning is to measure the amount of time between when you made the mistake and when you figured out you made the mistake. When I was first starting out, I'd go play bridge on Monday afternoon, and about Thursday night, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and go, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that." So that we measure that time frame. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. That's over 3 days. Okay, I can actually say now that I generally figure out within 3 or 4 seconds when I screwed up. Okay, and yeah, I still screw up a lot. Somebody said that there was an article written where even the pro players on an average hand make somewhere in the neighborhood of around 8 to 15 mistakes. Okay, and it has to do with what's the optimum card at the right place in the right sequence and so forth. Okay, we're striving to be perfect little computers, but we're human beings, so we're going to screw up. So learn how to forgive yourself. Now, the other one is learn how to trust your partner and how to forgive your partner because your partner is going to screw up too. Now, partnerships are like marriage. Okay. Now, if you got to learn to forgive your partner, be kind. If you can't, get a new partner or find something different to do other than playing bridge. Okay. If you can't play the game in a manner where you can enjoy it, find something else. Okay. Now, so keep bridge fun. All right. All right. Now, that pretty much concludes the basic lesson for today. So that gives you quite a bit to think about. Okay. Some tactical or what I'm going to call things to do in terms of counting and so forth. So one of the things is create a BBO account or an account somewhere. Trickster, FunBridge. There's a half a dozen different sites out there where you go practice. Okay, and if you use BBO, you can just go to create a BBO account, and you can just click on just play bridge and see how BBO works. Okay, and how to navigate it and how the various things work and so forth. Okay, so this is the beginning screen BBO. This is up here. You see where the one is where you click to create account. Okay, now one of the things that is also available is something called Shark Bridge, and Shark Bridge is a special website that allows me as an instructor to design hands and so forth and record them and have that information readily available, and then to manage a class of students in a mentored playing environment. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and do a short demonstration for you of a Shark Bridge, just to show you how it works. And almost all of the online bridge sites work in a similar fashion. There'll be a little bit of differences and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a new share. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click on this, click on share. And I'm going to expand this. Okay, so you can see the full thing. Now, if we were to, in essence, go to Shark Bridge individually, this would be, I could send you a link in the chat box. You click on it, and this screen would open up. Okay, and what you would do is you put in your name. I'm going to put in Al here. Okay, and partner's nickname really doesn't matter. And remember inputs, ignore that. Okay, now the way we get on Shark Bridge is go ahead and click on continue. Okay, so if it's been activated, then we would be seated. Let me come back over here. I've got to get to my Shark Bridge screen on another computer. Okay, and I want to sit all students. I'm going to put everybody at South. Ha, it let me in. What do you know? See? Okay, now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to load the deals. Okay, and I come down here. I'm going to come to beginner class. I'm working on. I have to have two computers to do this. Okay, and we're going to upload the deal set. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. Let me kind of explain this screen to you. All right, just so you've got an idea. Okay, up here it says this is hand number 1. Okay, now we've got the 4 seats. We've got south, west, north, and east. On Shark Bridge and almost all the other sites, regardless of the seat you're sitting in, it's always going to be down here at the bottom of your screen. In this case, we're south. Okay, and this is the hand that we have. We have 4 spades, 4 hearts, 4 clubs, and 4 diamonds. Okay, and now since I'm actually on this system as Al, okay, when I drag my cursor over the card, it pops up and says, hey, is that the card you want? And if I wanted to, I could click on it. Now, as it turns out, okay, this is the bidding. So the names go in here. So these are all other, we've got robots here that are actually playing. And we've got, here is the bidding history. Okay, and what it says is it's South's turn to bid. Okay, and this is the bidding tree over here. So what we're going to do, we're just going to, we got 7, 10, 12, 14 high card points. So we got 14 points. We got something. So we need to do something. So let's bid 1 club. We come over here and put our cursor over the 1 club. And we bid 1 club. Okay. And what we're going to do is I'm going to come back over here to the instructor table. And I got to turn on these robots. Okay, so the robot passed, and the robot that's my partner up here bid 1 spade. And I go, oh, wait, my partner says he's got at least 4 spades. You don't know that yet, but I do. I said, oh, goody. I've got 4 spades, so I'm going to bid 2 spades. Okay, and it goes pass, pass. 2 no trump. He says, what does 2 no trump mean? I'm not sure what 2 no trump means. It says, well, he's only got 4 of them. He wants to know whether I want to be in spades or I want to play in no trump. So he's got 4 of them. I've got 4 of them. Now, remember we talked about being unbalanced versus balanced. Well, I'm unbalanced here. I've got a singles and diamond. And I don't like no trump because I'm unbalanced. If I was 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 3, I might like it. So I'm going to bid 3 spades. Okay, and he's going to pass. Okay, so we can see the auction has taken place. We've had 3 spades conclude the auction. Pass, 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 3 spades. Okay, and who's going to be the declarer? The declarer is going to be the person that bid spades first. So our the North is going to be the declarer. Okay, and because North is the declarer, East is going to make the opening lead. He led this dastardly Jack of Hearts. Okay, now we'll talk about this in future weeks, but the first thing that North is going to do is make a declare plan. I think I jump into that as declare play section 1 next week. So I'm not going to talk about it very much. But what we're going to do, the first thing we got to do is we need to know how many tricks we need to take. Okay, we've got 3 spades. We've got to take 9 tricks, 6 plus 3. Okay, and I'm not going to read the Dustin technique. I'm just going to show you how it gets played. So we're going to play this Queen of Diamonds because we have to. Oh, well, we got the Queen of Hearts. Oh, that's right. That's a heart. Okay, so we've got that. We've got to get some trump out here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this. Okay. Now we count them to 1, 2, 3, 4 have been played. We're going to say, okay, we're going to go back over here. Well, I really didn't want to do that. I want to do an undo, but I don't know if it'll let me. Okay, but we're going to come back over here and do this. Okay, so we're going to take lead a trump. Ah, that's not real good. All right, so we're gonna lead it again. We need to get this trump out. All right, look at that. We've seen the queen fall on the first one, the jack fall on the second one. So the ace, king, queen have been played. Got to remember that. Our 10 is now high. Okay, so where do we want to be? Well, we want to be able to go over there to these diamonds potentially sometime. So we need some communication over here to the north hand. So we're going to go get that last trump. Remember, there's been 8 spades have been played, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we play that 10 of spades. And there comes that 13 spade. Now we know there aren't any more trump out, okay, because spades is trump. And we go, well, now we've got 8 hearts have been played, 9, 10, 11. Now, if we play this queen and both of them follow, oh darn, we will have, would have been that 3 of hearts would have become good. All right, so now what we're going to do is go ahead and leave that diamond. Okay, and we're going to see if they take the ace. They took the ace. Wasn't that wonderful? And they lead a heart. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to trump it up here with that 9. We win that trick. And now, because we've got the good king, queen of queen, king, jack of diamonds, we're going to take those. I'll leave another diamond. Now, unfortunately, we would really like to be back in our hands, so we could lead that 8 of clubs towards our king, hoping that the ace was over here. So we're just going to play low, and hopefully somebody jumps up with the ace, and they're not. So we're going to lose 2 club tricks. That's fun, dummy. Huh. Wonder why it throws on me. And oh, that robot took a long time thinking. So we play, and we're going to rough this last one. Okay, because that's trump. We win that trick. So now, if we look down here, it tells us what the result was. We get a score of 107. We made 4. So we got 4 times 30 is 120. You get 50 for the partial, 170. All right, now, if we look down here, it says we bid 3. That's what the 9 is. The 10 is we took 10 tricks, so that's how it's going. And east-west took 3. So this is where the tally is maintained. So this is basically how Shark Bridge is used. Okay, so that concludes what I'm going to do in terms of okay, I need one to do the screen sharing stuff to new shit. Okay, we want to go back to our thing here. All right, so the optimum way of using this site is to let the participants play with other students taking the course. All right, and you can see now I can actually stop the hand after the bidding and explain the bidding, and then after play the hand, explain how the hand should be played, replay it, do all sorts of things. Okay, now, and one of the things I'm considering is putting together a game on Shark Bridge that you guys could attend and practice it. What it would consist of is 8 hands designed to reinforce each one of the lessons. It would take about 2 hours. And do instructor reviews after the hand and so forth. Now, one of the problems with Shark Bridge is it's not free. You can see it's a pretty fancy site that's really, really great for instructing and really reinforcing the game. Okay, it actually cost me several dollars for each student in the game. So, in order to do such a game, I wouldn't be able to do it for less than about $6 per person. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out a survey to you guys and see if this is something you'd like me to try to do. Okay, and if I did do this, it would be at Sunday evening at 6 o'clock. So it would run from about 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and it would give you a forum in which case you could, in which you could actually get online, play bridge with other members of the class, and actually get what I call hands-on experience in the topics that we discussed in the lesson. Like I said, I'm going to send out a survey probably Thursday night and see what you guys say. And if there's enough interest, I'll put it together and host it. Otherwise, we won't. Okay, so that concludes the topics for today. What I'm going to do is come up here and I'm going to stop recording. Yes.